I'm Catherine Hadro, coming to you from St. Peter's Square, and I'm joined now by Father Thomas Petri, President of the Dominican House of Studies, and Michael Warsaw, CEO and Chairman of the Board of EWTN. So exciting to all be here together in Rome. We're preparing for Pope Francis to give the Angelus prayer here in St. Peter's Square. And Michael, you're also a consultor to the Vatican's Dicastery for Communications, and you've been involved with the World Meeting of Families before.
Yes, absolutely. So it's great to be with you all here at this wonderful event. So my association with the World Meeting goes back very, very early on in its existence. And I've had the pleasure and privilege over the years to be able to attend many of the world meetings, particularly remember and recall the 2000, the Great Jubilee with Pope St. John Paul, and I was able to be here at the square and at the Mass with him on the altar. And so Philadelphia with Pope Francis,
right.
Certainly those are some highlights. But our association and our involvement with the World Meeting of Families goes back many, many decades now.
What do you think the most important element of the World Meeting of Families is? What are the takeaways from this week?
Yeah, I think certainly in a world where the family is so much under attack in so many ways and really globally, I think the Church holding this event, bringing people together in such large numbers from around the world to witness to family life, to witness to the blessings, the joys that the family brings, and the importance of the family in our culture. I think that's a profound witness to a world that seems to have lost its way with regard to the family.
Absolutely. And this World Meeting of Families, as we've been reporting throughout the week, is very unique. Typically, it's the largest gathering of Catholic families. This one, it's invitation only, limited to about 2,000 families, which, frankly, I think makes our broadcast all the more critical and all the more important, so that those who cannot be here can still hear the message from Pope Francis, can still take that message to their family as well. And frankly, I've seen EWTN's, strength here with EWTN Espanol, EWTN Europe. I mean, this really is the strength of EWTN coming together globally.
Absolutely. And, I was struck last evening, was out here in Rome, and on either side of me was someone from America who was watching the EWTN live stream in English, and on the other side was someone from Latin America who was actually watching the EWTN live stream in Espanol. And so it just was one of those moments where you really do realize, the breadth and depth of EWTN's coverage.
And reflects the Church, reflects the universality of the Church here as well.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
And I know, you knew Mother Angelica personally. I never had the honor of meeting her, and family was critical for her. She spoke about the importance of family and not redefining what the family is over and over again.
Right. No, so, Mother Angelica herself personally came from a very broken family, divorced mother who was abandoned by her father, really difficult circumstances. So, I think she truly understood, the value of a family and what that meant, even if she didn't necessarily have that herself. And so when she began EWTN in 1980 and went on the air in 81, she always talked about her EWTN family, and really the idea of not just viewers, not just listeners, but really truly building a family around then the United States and ultimately around the world. And we see that today. We still talk about our EWTN family. We see in the emails and the letters, the calls, and the interaction that people really do consider themselves to be part of this global family of EWTN.
Absolutely.
It's been remarkable to us. I mean, just speaking about the depth and the breadth of the journalism of EWTN and the coverage, it's been remarkable to us. And we talked about it last evening, that we've seen virtually no secular media covering this event, and really no other Catholic media. I mean, there's been some news written reports here or there, but there's really not been a lot of coverage, and I wonder why that is.
That's right. I think in my meetings here at the Holy See, and particularly at the Dicastery for Communications, we were talking about the fact that EWTN really has been the only entity that's stepped up and provided this level of coverage. I can't necessarily speculate why. It's perhaps in some ways it's a bit of sort of the trailing out of COVID and some of those concerns. But I think what's important is, we looked at this event a very long time ago and said, we need to make a significant commitment. We partnered with the Diocese of Rome as the media partner for the World Meeting of Families, and to continue that commitment that we've made over these many, many years to bringing this event to people who otherwise might not be able to participate.
And of course, there was something significant that happened during this World Meeting of Families, which is on Friday we had the Dobbs decision on January 24th, and I was really proud to be part of the coverage for that. That we broke in, Catherine broke in, and to be able to provide nearly an hour of analysis of that decision. It was really quite remarkable.
I mean, it is striking that here we are as the church gathered together in Rome, but back home in the United States, Roe v. Wade has been reversed, and this is a culmination of decades of prayer.
Right, absolutely. Well, and from your many years on EWTN Pro-Life Weekly and the reporting and work that you've done over the years. Obviously, for those of us in the pro-life community, this is, 50 years, of prayers, of sacrifice, of suffering, of hard work. And so it's certainly, I think, a moment to rejoice and thank God for this blessing. But I think that we also have to be realistic that, all the work of these last 50 years pales in comparison to the work that begins now, because this has changed the entire landscape of, the abortion issue in America. And what we, I think, in the pro-life community have to do is to, redouble our efforts, and certainly redouble our efforts for, caring for mothers who find themselves in these difficult circumstances. There's no entity that does more for crisis pregnancies than the Catholic Church, and the pro-life community is just remarkable in how it's responded over these years. But we need to be able to do more.
That's exactly it. And I was so grateful for your publisher's note in the National Catholic Register, True Democracy, available now at ncregister.com to go ahead and read. And you also underlined these attacks that Catholics are seeing right now back home in the United States. Can you speak about that? Because that's a reality as well.
Sure. So, I think because America is so divided now, and we've seen this for many years, certainly culminating in so many of the events of the last 2 years in particular. And so we see this anger, this animosity, this rage, this inability to really come together in a civil way, and to have differences, but to express them in ways that are civil and appropriate. But certainly we've seen since the unfortunate leak of the draft opinion back in May, we've seen pro-life clinics around the country targeted. We've seen, untold numbers of acts of vandalism at Catholic churches. We see the threats and the escalating rhetoric around that. We saw and we know that part of that rhetoric led someone to seek out an attempt to assassinate a justice of the Supreme Court. I mean, this is a really difficult moment for us, and I think it means that we as Catholics, first of all, need to pray, as we haven't, perhaps prayed before, for peace and calm and sanity in the midst of all of this. But also, I think we have to realize that, this is also a spiritual battle, and so, we should expect attacks, we should expect pushback, and we need to be prepared for that, and we need to commit ourselves even more to the fight that's ahead.
I mean, not to pull back out of fear because of these activities, because of these acts of violence and rage. And in some ways, I don't want to say the word proud, because that's not quite the right word, but Christ promised that we would be persecuted for his name. And we talked yesterday that the Dobbs decision came down on the feast of the Nativity of John the Baptist, who was beheaded, for the marriage issue, but that the first reading of that feast every year for the rest of the foreseeable future, unless the church changes the calendar, Dobbs will always be associated with the feast of the Nativity of John the Baptist in the Catholic Church, and that first reading is from Jeremiah, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you."
Right. all things in God's providence. There's no such thing as coincidence.
Yeah.
So,
That's it. Yeah. I can't help but reflect as well on how EWTN has covered the March for Life faithfully for years now. I know when I gone to the march before working at EWTN was the only camera I would see there.
Right.
You know, there's been this steadfast presence. Can you speak about why Mother Angelica knew Nellie Gray? This Dobbs ruling also came on Nellie Gray's birthday. Mother Angelica interviewed Nellie Gray. Can you speak about what Mother thought about the importance of the March for Life?
Oh, absolutely. So Mother had a very close relationship with Nellie Gray, the founder of the March for Life.
Yes.
And she appeared on the network many, many times over the years, really, to talk about the march and the importance of the witness of the march.
Yes.
You know, and I think Mother Angelica, from the very beginning of EWTN, you know, EWTN had a incredibly strong commitment on air to the pro-life cause, to the importance of making people aware, of mobilizing people, of working to really, for this day, of striking down Roe v. Wade. You know, that was something that was incredibly important to Mother and a foundational principle of EWTN. And so I'm sure that, you know, Mother Angelica was smiling from heaven on Friday with that news. So, and you know, and we've continued from again, as we said, from those very early days to support the March for Life, to support so many of pro-life causes, and that's expanded and grown, you know, I think globally. You know, one of the things that we've seen over the past few years is that as EWTN has stepped up our coverage of the March for Life in the U.S., we've had other groups reach out to us, whether it's from the California events that then came, but other groups around the world, even from here in Rome or elsewhere, where we actually on our other feeds often air the national marches in many of these countries.
I think also the foresight to launch EWTN Pro-Life Weekly over 5 years ago now, and EWTN Pro-Life Weekly, EWTN News is going to become all the more critical in combating disinformation we're about to see on this issue as well. You know, Michael, you are a prominent Catholic leader, but you're also a husband, you're a father, and now you're a grandfather. Just a few months ago. How old is your granddaughter now?
She 7 months.
Oh my goodness.
7 months. So yes.
Can you reflect?
I'm a very young grandfather.
Well, I just want to say, remember, the Holy Father says aging is a good thing.
It is. It's a beautiful thing. A new stage.
So what's it like being a new grandfather?
It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. It's such joy, and you know, she's amazing. Amazing gift of life and her personality. She's just wonderful. So I can pull out my phone and start showing.
Well, just being part of, you know, as the World Meeting of Families, obviously a big focus of the Holy Father, this World Meeting of Families has been how the elders and the elder generations need to pass on to the young. And so now you get to do that to another generation.
Exactly. No, exactly. Jackie and I are so excited to do that.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, we're so grateful that you joined us for our continuous coverage of the World Meeting of Families. Michael Warsaw, CEO and Chairman of the Board of EWTN. Thank you.
Thank you so much.